Sorry, I heard in my class, my history professor told us ages ago, most people don't know the real story of Pocahontas. They think it, you know, like Disney and falling in love with John Smith. But it's a really funny story. It seems to have lost a bit of its luster in the evenings, in the midst of the evening's excitement. Good grief, come off. And I see the bumping and thumping has stopped. I've been doing laundry, as you can see. There's nothing on my bed. Washing the comforter and the pillows with tennis balls in the dryer. So in the last clip, you probably heard this thud, 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 thud. That's what it was, tennis balls in the dryer. Oh, but anyway, the real story of Pocahontas, I'll tell you anyway. Like, the real story of Pocahontas, John Smith was, like, well into his 40s, and apparently completely full of himself, and he kept these detailed journals where he talked about apparently every woman he met was madly in love with him. Pocahontas, his father, was the chief, and he had many daughters. Pocahontas was the youngest of them, and she was about 13 at the time that he came in, and apparently, when it came to, like, invading peoples and tribes and what have yous, he was a very clever chief. And he sort of had this ploy, if you will, that whenever one would come in, he would threaten them. And he had John Smith, and I believe he had 2 other companions on that trip. They bound them up, and they were about to execute them. And right beforehand, Pocahontas skips in, throws herself on top of John Smith, and begs for his life. And her father at that point says, "All right, I will spare your life." And so that they are aware that he could kill them if he wanted to, but he did not, just out of goodwill. And so, of course, John Smith takes this completely the wrong way and says that this, you know, and thinks that this young woman was just smitten just at the sight of him, just completely enraptured by his, I don't know, whatever it was he thought he had. But it was kind of a funny story. And Pocahontas did not marry John Smith. John Smith went off to be a philanderer with other women, and she married another guy named John, and I forget his name, but I do know that he was a very wealthy colonialist, and he raised tobacco. He had a tobacco plant, farm, what have you. That is what he was known for, and he was very, very wealthy, and I know that they changed her name to Mary, and I believe they ended up going back to England eventually, but it's a very interesting story. A little bit of American folklore for you. But yes, that was actually before we were the United States. We were still colonists at the time. But happy Thanksgiving, everybody! Yay! Okay, guys, here they are, all covered in their marinade. They're pretty good if you ask me. The only trouble is the marinade recipe that I used was made for a lot less stuff. It was made for, you know, a half a dozen little round medallions, and I'm putting it on basically what is essentially 8 full chicken breasts. And I think I did it really well because it's a really thick, it almost looks like barbecue sauce, but it's not. There's so much garlic in this stuff, you have no idea. Lots of garlic. It's going to be delicious. I'm excited. Now I'm going to put them in the fridge, and I'll show you what they look like tomorrow. Oh, please pray it works out. Now this looks so delightfully delicious. I hope it stays just as lovely as it does now before me after I cook it. These are my stuffed apples. I used Fuji apples just because they were the biggest ones I could find. They're very sweet and they were incredibly juicy, so I hope that doesn't affect. It's not really a very good baking apple, but like I said, it's the biggest one I could find. And I have a mixture of walnuts, pecans, and almonds, and I mixed them up in the bullet. The only trouble is it was so, the bullet's a little too powerful just for chopping nuts, and it almost made nut butter out of them, and some dried cranberries, and a little bit of maple syrup, not very much. And then I had some sucanat, which is sort of like a brown sugar that I put over the top. Now I just need to find a place in the fridge. The fridge is full of lovely, see. There's the pie, that is potatoes that are going to be cooked tomorrow, and those are the cutlets. Oh, and that's the, that I'm going to cook up for breakfast. And we've got some bags of salad leaves. What did I get? I think I got a mix and then some rocket, which I've never really had before, but yeah. Nigella Lawson loves it. And there's some parsley for sprinkling over everything when we're done. Yay! Now I gotta figure out where to put the apples. Oh, bother.
Okay.
Here's the dinner table.
Because we can use that chair
And
behind
there's the main course.
Behind you.
Hope it tastes as good as it looks. Thanks, Dad.
It will
And
taste.
there's my baked apple. So yay! Thanks for everything, guys. Here's my family. They got finished. Burns and all.
This is our first Thanksgiving dinner that we've hosted.
That's right, it is.